All right, guys out there, welcome to another edition of Chat with Charlie and Friends. And we got Ben Sitton here. You're a friend, right, Ben?
I am a friend of Charlie.
So we got our entrepreneurial leader out there in Atlanta, Ben Sitton, running our highly successful campus. And so how could we do a show and not have Ben on yet? So we had to have Ben on.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
So yeah, man. So as we jump into it, and we do want to talk about you and your success there, but first of all, who's Ben Sitton?
Before I joined AIM, I was a career student for a while at the University of Georgia.
Like all Athens people?
Yeah. So I changed my major 3 or 4 times. I was a career student. Spent 6 years of best years of my life in Athens, Georgia, and finally wrapped it up. And I was recruited here in 2011 to be the director of admissions.
Yeah.
And we had about 400 students when I started in 2011. And I was promoted to the campus assistant director. About 3 years later, we had almost doubled the census or the population of the school. And then I was promoted to the executive director in 2015. And I've held that role ever since. At one time, we were close to 1,000 students, the largest single provider of aviation maintenance for 147 schools. And then COVID hit, and we're slowly getting back to the pre-COVID census numbers.
It's ramping.
Yeah, for sure.
It's ramping. Did you meet your wife out in Athens?
I met my wife. No, I didn't. I met my wife in 2011 working here, but it was not in Athens.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then all those, the positions that you held before you got to us, to AIM, Aviation Institute of Maintenance, was there a lot of transferable skills, you think, or did you have to learn things a little differently? Or
Well, I started as an intern in it was the healthcare industry. I was over, well, I wasn't over, I was in the admissions department, and we operated residential inpatient treatment centers, and I was in the admissions department just taking inquiries in that. And I ended up being promoted to the director of admissions over what was then one campus, and we grew to having 3 campuses, but it was like inpatient treatment centers over the state of Georgia. So I worked from the director of admissions in Greensboro, Georgia, which is right outside of Athens, and I eventually moved to the greater Atlanta area in Lawrenceville.
yeah.
Still with the same company, but I was more in an admin position. I was over the operations of these treatment centers, so I went from admissions to operations. And when I was in Gwinnett County, this door opened, and I was always in love with aviation and just kind of fell in love with this sector.
What'd you like about it, the aviation side? Was it the flight side? Did you even know about the maintenance side?
Yeah, not really, no. I was just intrigued with flight and flight principles and flight in general. I love to fly. Didn't know much about the maintenance side. I know a lot about it now, but I self-taught myself, but it was all, I was just intrigued by everything. And, the more that I learned, the more that I grew into the position, the more in love I fell, and I've never looked back.
Really? So would you look at, as a campus director, some people call them campus presidents, regardless of the program that they offer, whether it's trade, allied health, or anything, what do you think is the biggest asset that a good, and I call them entrepreneurial because I feel like you got to own it, right? You got to own the campus, got to own what's around you, own that P&L. What do you think is one of the, I would say, the leading attributes that a director can bring to that campus body?
Gosh, for me, I tell you, it's been a key to me is managing people and identifying talent. And one of the core reasons that we've been able to sustain the level of success that we have over a long period of time is identifying talent and identifying where to put that talent. We probably half of my staff's been here for 6, 7+ years. The admissions team, 2/3 of them has been here for 7, 8 years plus. The director of admissions has been with me 10 plus years. All of my directors, for the most part, have been with me for years and years and years. And it's, I developed that core, established that core, and, invested in them. And we added pieces to go along with each of those team members. And for me, it's just been about identifying talent and where to place that talent within our organization for them to succeed.
Yeah.
Just giving them the tools, the resources, the training, and letting them succeed.
Yeah.
And,
but you hear people, right? They're especially now, at least the last probably say 24 months or whatever, coming out of COVID too. A lot of people have problems retaining people. It's also getting people, but more so retaining people. What's your secret sauce to that, or something that you find more valuable with the high tenured people that you're keeping around there?
Yeah, the key is, Charlie, the key is tapping into the intrinsic values. That is the absolute key when I'm interviewing. There's two traits that I really look for, and that's are you teachable and your attitude. If you have a teachable spirit and positive attitude, there's a lot that I can do with someone, even if they're completely green and they have no experience in what I'm interviewing for. If they have those two attributes, I can really work with that person. Yeah. For me, it's getting them to constantly remind them of why they do what they do and tapping into what motivates them. Because I've found that, if you're attracting people that's constantly motivated by external things, by the money, by the position, by the title, they're constantly going to be looking for the next position or if the grass is greener on the other side. But if you can find those individuals that are driven intrinsically and constantly reminding on the life-changing testimonies that we see day after day and why we do what we do, if you find those individuals that's motivated by that, that's the key to my retention for our staff.
It's true. And it sounds like, we have for our institutions every 5 weeks, right? So it can be a grind. It can wear on you. For a campus like your size, the volume's a lot higher, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I get a kick. Even last week we were talking about, retaining employees, and the first thing someone said, the very first thing was they need to be paid more. And it's got to be more than that. Seems to me like a flash in the pan. Like it's good for like 24 hours, but then it's like, what have you done for me lately kind of thing? Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you do more of the long play with your people and the people that work for you and work alongside you.
Yeah, and it can be a difficult balancing accountability with motivation and as long as you're transparent and you're always communicating with your team on expectations and that sort of thing, I find it easier to hold that accountability piece. So there's no questions, but to also, like you mentioned, every 5 weeks, we're, especially in the admissions department, we're going through a new cycle, and oh man, here we go again. That's an attitude that some can easily take on, that you have to constantly combat. So you have to get creative with motivating your employees, and that's a challenge.
And that's got to feed down to the student body too, right? I mean, they feel that energy, feel the consistency of tenured people, that type of thing. So it's got to have an effect on your revenue side and keeping the students in there and making sure they graduate, persist to careers and things like that.
Right. And it's also important, there's some downfalls with having, a real senior laden team, is because you can have the senioritis and, the old habits, and change is uncomfortable. And
we know that right now.
We have to adapt, and change is uncomfortable for people that's been here for quite some time.
But you kind of roll with it, I've noticed, even more so for those that don't know. We went through a leader or ownership change, and you've rolled with that though. You've kind of navigated the waters to keep that. Is that through vision? Is that just your personality? Is that a forced trait, like a deliberate trait? What do you do to keep that up?
Yeah, that's going through COVID really, really was probably one of the most single most growth time spans in my career. And, each day, every single day we had to adapt, and it was something new that we had to either change our operations or, how we delivered instruction or how we managed employees, whether it was on-site, off-site. It was constantly changing. And I think that ever since then, we've tried to have an open culture where every week we're having conversations over changes that need to take place, areas of opportunity, that sort of thing, and keeping everyone on the same page as far as being open. We just went through a 147 change with our curriculum.
Yeah.
Was a massive change for our education department. And I think that it was not seamless, but it was not as difficult for such a large campus because everyone had the same mindset. We were all moving in the same direction.
Is your style more deliberate on information, meaning, there's two ways of doing it. Some wait for a little bit and then they kind of introduce it over time? Or are you a style that you just address it when it's happening and just rip the Band-Aid off, head down, let's get after it, let's figure this out?
Yeah. I think it depends on the situation. There's some situations where it's best to just rip it off and address it point blank if there's a time sensitive matter, but sometimes it can cause more harm by being as transparent. So some things you have to keep closer to the vest and use your discernment on what info to carry down to your employees. But I think it's important to always have a strong nucleus, a strong management team that can help you filter that out. It's important that us as managers are always on the same page so that we can make a decision because they know their team best.
Do you get out of their way? Is that your style too? You trust but verify
100%.
kind of thing? Yeah, let them do
100%. I believe in autonomy. Like I said, I believe in investing in them, giving them the tools and the training and the resources to succeed and letting them do their job. But as soon as, they're not meeting outcomes, I am very quick to interject and engage. One missed start and we're having conversations.
Yeah. Especially at the time of year it can be, right?
What's that?
Like if it's a January for us where it predicts the revenue for the rest of the year, or at the midpoint we're at right now in the fall, which we're looking for the influx that carries through Q4, those type of things. Yeah. So tell me, and this is I don't want this to be a tough question, but I know for our listeners, especially our internal campus directors and things like that, if you could give them 3 things that you believe are a secret of success, either innately or nurtured, through learning, what do you think those 3 things are? And in your words, so to speak.
Oh man. Well, I think it starts with trust.
Yep.
I truly believe in having relationships and establishing a trust with your employees so that they can trust that any decision that you make is what's going to be best for the company and hopefully what's best for them. And so trust, communicating with your employees as much as possible, being transparent, but, giving them a voice. I think that's very important. I think that that's one of the areas where we sometimes fall short is recognizing our employees and letting them have feedback before decisions are made. Making them feel like they're invested in the process. I think that's extremely important. So half of my day is often spent just speaking with employees and making them feel like they're important and they're being heard, their voice is being heard. So relationships, trust, communication. Half of my job is just managing the people that I employ here.
You're like an internal counselor to some extent and keeping everybody kind of navigating the waters.
Well, you do, and you have to know your people. There's no cookie cutter approach to managing, for example, the admissions team. You have 15 different personalities, and a good leader, an effective leader, knows each personality, and that one communication style is not going to work for John Doe, where this communicate. Someone may very well appreciate a very direct approach, and some people don't respond very well to a direct approach. You just have to know your people and know how to communicate with them.
You know, one of the things we went to FAPS, is the Florida kind of conference of all the schools and
Yeah, I saw it
out there. Yep. And one of the things they were saying is not everybody is data driven because it defines them in a way. And that's not only admissions, it's anywhere, financial aid, even academics at that point. So you do have to figure out kind of what's their motivator and create a narrative from that to get the outcomes that you want or that they really need to do.
Right.
Yeah. So what else do you do, man? What do you do for fun? What does Ben Sitton do on Saturday and Sunday?
Oh, man. Well, I have a wife and 2 kids. It's 11 and 8. So most of my time outside of here is spent with my family. My wife is now a children's minister.
Oh, is she really?
Yeah.
Is that a full-time gig or is it a...
No, it's just part-time.
Yeah.
It's definitely been life-changing. Outside of here, I support her in that, but I'm very involved with my kids' sports and school.
Okay.
But for me personally, I love to play golf. I love sports. I love my Georgia Bulldogs. I love all my Atlanta Hawks, Atlanta Falcons, Atlanta Braves. You know, I suffer through every year with my team. But right now, it's really fun to be a Georgia Bulldog. I can tell you that.
Hey, man, August 31st.
That's right.
Let's get it on. I think it's going to be a good year for Georgia. That's a fact.
I hope so.
Man, I got to be careful around your wife now. Now I gotta. I'm all nervous now when I see her. I'm like, hey, yes, ma'am. That's funny. So, we just want to meet people. We're gonna have all the campus ready. But I'll tell you, man, from me to you, you run. I mean, you don't know this, but we talk about you a lot, and that's in a positive way. For those that don't know, I mean, you got a beast of a campus. It's not easy to run that thing. I mean, I imagine there's a couple of things that keep you up at night, especially on the human side, because I find you to be a human person first and the business second, if you get what I mean. But you do such a good job, man, and I love seeing that. And I'll tell you, Christy, I'll give her a shout out. She's your director of admissions who runs the sales department over there, and she's blossomed so much under you and just finding her feet. And you've allowed her to do that. Allow her to find those pitfalls and grow from it and things like that.
Right. Well, she's an example of someone that, on the front end when we promoted her, we were very clear on some concerns that we had and some areas that she needed to develop. And she heard that very loud and clear. And she's one that can receive constructive feedback and take that feedback and use it for the greater good versus internalizing and getting mad and angry. She's every area that we'd like to see her improve on, and she's met that.
She has, man. And I'll tell you, she's the type of person, I suspect you are too. I know I'm like this, and so tell me if you're not. But there's nothing anybody can say to you that you've already not said to yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't need it.
I'm my own worst critic.
That's right. And sometimes that can be good. Sometimes that can be bad. So you gotta balance it. So
I'm gonna get off here. I'm like, dang, man, why did I say that? Or
no, you're good. So these are short takes. So tell me this as we kind of wind out. Is there anything, especially your colleagues out there, is there anything you want to share to them, especially being August, winding out fall, getting into September, then Q4, and then we're back into January. You know what I mean? New budgets, new year.
Man. I would say, another area for me that's been key is constantly trying to get a feel for what the demand is for this area and this community and creating programs, because I have, 5 programs here that we offer, which is more than any other AIM school. And I'm constantly looking for other areas. Like, for example, we have a welding program.
Yeah.
We have an associate's degree program, and we have an avionics as a standalone program. So it's finding other programs and other areas of training that we can offer to meet community demands. And I think it's important to constantly try and partner with community leaders to find those opportunities that we can offer as an institution, instead of just pigeonholing myself in just this one program.
Yeah.
I think that's important to continue to grow, to find those. Never
satisfied almost to deliver to the community. Right. And I'll tell you, that's an Achilles heel we've had here, is because we positioned ourselves so much on maintenance. it was so hard to divert into something else, even if it was as thinly sliced. It just it's been harder than it should be, and I think we're all learning from that to open ourselves up to be kind of a training provider in that area, not just a maintenance provider or
That's right.
maintenance type
That's
thing.
right.
And it's tough. I mean, it's tough from the years and years and years we've been doing this. So.
That's
And
right.
you got a beautiful school. If anybody's out there in Atlanta, they've got to stop by. You got good breakfast sandwiches, I hope, still there.
We do. I've got one with your name on it.
Good. Those no, not now, man. It better be a lettuce wrap. those are so good. Well, dude, I appreciate you taking time out. I know it's a really busy time right now, and I appreciate you taking some time out, talking to the master, the beast of a school. I love it. For you guys that are listening, you know, Ben will always tell us is part of our job is to give them inquiries, right? You have paid and you've got unpaid, and they do a really good job on the unpaid side. But on the paid side, it's feed the beast. You know, let's give them more food. I'm done eating. I need dessert. I need some more stuff.
You know, we've been pretty consistent with the same amount the past few weeks.
You know what? You ask Jeremiah right now. I said that at Rev Up. We were talking about some schools, and I was like, Houston. I was like, Aaron's got way too many than he needs. We need to get those over to Atlanta. So. It was said again. I didn't even need you to call me on this one.
Yeah. Appreciate your support. It takes that too, so I appreciate it.
Well, I look forward to seeing you real soon. Keep doing your thing. Please give your campus all the love. Tell Christy what's up. Hang in there. Don't be critical on herself. She's doing a great job.
All right, brother. Thank you, man.
All right, brother. We'll see you, man. All right, guys. This is End for Chat with Charlie and Friends. We got Ben Sitton, who I consider the best, one of the best. I don't want to offend anybody out there, but I'm going to do like the Ohio State, the Ben Sitton. Great campus, great things going out there, and he's just a student of the game. So if you ever need some advice, do yourself a favor and call him. That's it for now. We'll talk to you soon.